welcome back to Family Tanks.
A place for families to learn about interesting pets and to appreciate nature. So what are we doing today, Zosia?
We'll be talking about our dart frogs' pros and cons.
Exactly, the pros and cons of keeping poison dart frogs as pets, right? So Zosia, why don't we start real quick and tell everybody what's a poison dart frog?
Okay, well, you might have seen at the zoo or aquarium. It's a little frog that they come in different colors and sizes, which has bright colors, and they come from the Amazon and rainforest.
Yep, they come from rainforests of Central and South America, as Zosia said. They're beautifully colored. They're absolutely gorgeous, and they're fascinating pets. But there's pros and cons, so we want to talk about what those might be before you decide to make that choice. So why don't we get into the cons of keeping dart frogs first, okay? So some of the negatives, right, is that dart frogs, interestingly enough, cannot be in a temperature that gets too high.
Yes, that's true.
A lot of people think they equate amphibians and reptiles to, oh, they have to be warm. They don't want to be super cold, that's for sure.
But they don't want to be like burning up high.
That's exactly right. So poison dart frogs, if their temperature reaches 85 degrees, it will kill most species.
Yes.
So they have to be kept lower than that. Somewhere between 65 and low 70s, like 70, 72 is ideal. So where do we have our animal rack? Where do we keep our animals in our house?
In the basement.
We keep it in the basement. That's exactly right, because the basement is not a place where it ever gets too hot during the summer. So that's important. And also to think about it, because, you know, you're naturally going to have a light and other things that do create a certain amount of heat. That's something to consider is, can you keep them cool enough?
Yes.
Which is different than what most people might think, right? Now, another concern that people have is, aren't they toxic? Aren't they poisonous? And won't that hurt my other pets? So why don't you tell us about that, Zosia?
Let me get into that.
Get into it.
Oh, let's get into it. One of the things you said, like, will it hurt the other pets? So if they did escape, you thought, oh, maybe it hurt them. You'll probably keep them in a box, like an aquarium or terrarium. But then secondly, they are not toxic unless they eat the special, like, roach, I think.
Yeah, there's ants, beetles, and certain insects that they eat in nature that give them the specific organic compounds that they need to synthesize the toxins that they use for defense in nature. And when they're in captivity, they are denied those organic compounds because it's not in the food that we're feeding them, and they're not toxic. They're actually completely not toxic, right?
Yeah.
Which is really, really cool. But it is an important thing. Now, that being said, a dog or a cat will definitely take a quick snack on your frog. So you want to make sure that you keep them in such a way that they are a hands-off pet, right?
So, like, if you say, like, well, they hurt my other pets, the other pets could hurt them. We have, like, 2 cats here. Oh, Ginny's coming, but, she likes to, like, at the glass.
She sure does. Yeah, she loves the frogs. Oh, she might come over.
Yeah, we'll tell you if she's, like, trying to go at them.
Yep, but that's right. I mean, it's one of those things that they're definitely in the category of hands-off pet. They should be thought of more like a fish in that sense, that it's something that's beautiful to look at and enjoy their behaviors and their environment, and creating the environment, which we'll get into in a future video, is half the fun. It's all living plants and a bioactive vivarium, and it's a gorgeous, gorgeous thing to look at. But it's definitely not the kind of pet that you're going to handle and play with. It's just not good for them, it's not good for you, and it's just not something you should do, right? No. Now, another challenge with poison dart frogs is the rainforest. Zosia, is it really dry, or is it very humid in the rainforest?
Well, it says in the name, rain.
Rainforest. It's very, very, very humid. So dart frogs absolutely positively need to be kept at average humidities from 70 to 75% at the very low end, right up to close to 100% humidity. Very, very humid. Very. And that presents 2 challenges. One is it's difficult to keep the humidity that high, so we have to go in here once or twice a day and spray it down with deionized water to make sure we keep the humidity high, and also limit the amount of ventilation, right?
Why deionized water?
Oh, that's a good question. I said, why deionized water? So you use purified water when you do that. To make sure that you don't leave water spots on the glass. If you notice your tap water, if you ever get it on your glass or on your shower door or something like that, it leaves those little spots behind. Well, that wouldn't be very nice to look at in here. So we use pure water to make sure that we don't have that problem. Now, frogs, being amphibians, don't drink. You would never give an animal to either soak in all the time or to drink water that's deionized. They need those minerals as part of their metabolism.
Mm-hmm.
But frogs don't drink, and spraying the enclosure with that keeps the glass clean, keeps the humidity high, and keeps those water spots off the glass. But keeping the humidity high is definitely a challenge. So we'll get into that in a future video, but that's something to consider. Now, another thing to consider is that what do these guys eat in captivity?
Oh, they eat fruit flies.
Fruit flies. They're little guys. They're little frogs.
Yes.
Little baby frogs, right? And they eat little tiny baby food. Yes?
So, part of the thing which has to do with fruit flies, you don't want to be going to the store every single day getting fruit flies.
That gets expensive.
And annoying to go to the store every single day.
Yeah, you don't have to do
you
that.
Want to do that. So you have to get cultures them. You have your first culture and harvest a bit of that and put it in another one.
Exactly. So you become a bug farmer. Anybody who keeps poison dart frogs ought to be a bug farmer. And it's not a big deal, but it's something that we absolutely have to consider when you're considering keeping dart frogs, because that's part of their care.
So there are different types of fruit flies you can get, such as like flightless, and then there's also wingless, and then there's just regular fruit flies.
Exactly. Yeah.
We have flightless.
Yes, we have flightless Madagascar fruit flies that we keep.
The opposite of flying, they jump.
They
Dun,
hop
dun,
all over the
dun.
place. So one of the
Oh my
things with
gosh.
keeping dart frogs is it's inevitable that you're going to have a few flies that get out and they don't live very long, and it's not a big deal, and you vacuum them up. It's not a huge mess. It's not like your house is going to be infested with flies or anything like that. Not even close, nothing like that. But you do have to be okay with live bugs, because in their environment, that's part of their world, and you have to provide that.
Actually, also, good thing for the frogs is to use fruit fly media to keep them in, like some extra adds to the thing.
Yeah, it gives them, and there's ways of creating extra
This is white powder.
nutrients and stuff like that you put on them to help them stay okay.
Yeah, but that'll be in our video caring for that.
Exactly.
Fruit flies.
We'll do a whole care video on dart
Yes.
frogs and how to set up a bioactive vivarium and how to care for them, everything else in the future. But as far as the cons are concerned, again, to review them, is that you need to make sure that it doesn't get too hot. You need to make sure you keep your other pets away, even though they are not toxic in captivity.
Yes.
You need to make sure that you're creating a adequately humid environment, which can be a little challenging, and you have to be okay with the live food. And then there's one other potential con, depending on how you want to look at it, is that they're kind of expensive.
Yes. They're not outlandishly expensive, like thousands of dollars, but they cost us $90.
$90 for a pair. And we
Yes.
got those at a reptile show from a breeder direct, so it was a little bit less expensive.
Yeah.
But yes, pairs of frogs can go up to several $100s. The
I
very
saw-
lowest you'll see are probably $25, $30 are the very lowest, but it's something to consider. Now, there is good news, though,
Yes.
is that, and this will make it one of the first pros on our list, okay?
Mhm.
Is that while they're a bit of an investment, they live a long time. Zosia, do you remember how long these guys can
I
live?
think they live up to 15 years.
15 to 20 years is entirely possible in captivity, so they can live a long time, so there's a great investment.
But it could be also a bad investment if you don't have like a lifetime home.
Ah, that's a really good point, Zosia. I'm glad you brought that up. And this is true of any pet, is that if you decide on a pet that lives a long time, you need to make sure that you're willing to commit to that pet for an equally long time.
Yes.
Well, it is possible to rehome a pet if your life changes
But
or something
these guys
changes.
are kind of difficult because they're, dart frogs.
Because they have specialized care and they're more unusual. It's not as easy as finding a new home for your cat or goldfish. So that's something to consider because, Zosia, to your point, they live a long time.
Mhm.
So that's both a pro and a con, depending on who you are and your lifestyle, okay? Now, the most obvious pro of keeping poison dart frogs is that they're awesome.
Beautiful too.
If you've ever seen pictures of poison dart frogs or been to a zoo or an aquarium, they're beautiful. They're
Yes.
glossy black in colors. Our frogs are Dendrobates tinctorius robertus, right?
So they are like this light blue that fades in with a green into a yellow, and they're like so cute. And
They're
so
super
beautiful.
cute, and they sit there and go blah 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 with
They're
their little
cute.
throat all the time, and they're absolutely gorgeous. And another cool pro with dart frogs is that they are diurnal, meaning they actually are active during the day.
Yeah, so you see them all the time. Like these guys are hopping around, jumping into the water, climbing up the wall.
They're so active, so they're super fun to look at, which is really, really fun. And, because a lot of reptiles and amphibians are nocturnal, So they're only awake at night. So people get these beautiful pets. They're like, oh, I want to get this. A good example would be the red-eyed tree frog.
Ah, yes.
Red-eyed tree frog is that beautiful green frog with blue and yellow and orange on it that you see in a lot of pictures. And they're beautiful. And you put them in this wonderful habitat and you bring them home and they go behind a leaf and you never see them again. Unless you happen to be up at night and can see in the dark. See, poison dart frogs are out during the day, so that's super, super cool. Another nice thing about them is that they can be kept in a relatively small space. Now, that's not to say that they can be in a teeny, tiny little space.
This is a good size for 2.
Exactly. This is a 20-gallon aquarium that we've converted into a bioactive vivarium, and we have 2 in there, right? And that's a good capacity for these guys, assuming they have enough hides and places to climb, right?
Yes.
Absolutely. Now, what is some of the other pros?
Well, they're pretty simple to care for. Like these guys, we really have to feed them once a day and maybe spray, and they're good.
They're good to go. Exactly, once a day or even once every other day. We tip some fruit flies in there, like Zosia said. We spray it down once a day to make sure they keep their humidity. And because they live in a bioactive vivarium, which means it has microfauna and microorganisms that break down their waste and live plants, it's kind of like a complete ecosystem, right? I don't have to go in there and clean on a regular basis. We wipe the glass once in a while because it gets frog prints all over it.
Actually, that just reminds me, cleaning. Their poop is so big.
It is true. And I'm not going to say this is a pro or a con.
No, it's not legal.
But a frog this big makes a poop like that big. I've never seen anything like it. Their poop is huge.
It's so big.
And again, it's not a big deal, but their poop is like 1/4 of their body length. Could you imagine if never mind, we won't go there. But that's so much poop. But I guess they're happy and they're having fun, right? But they're, again, but because of the bioactive system, and actually Petunia is right here in the middle poking at everybody here. And we'll put some footage at the end of the video of our frogs so you guys can see them more close up. But the bioactive vivarium makes them very simple to care for. It's really not a care fair. Right, but they're really easy to care for, which they're fascinating, they're gorgeous, they're easy to care for, right?
So what is the last pro?
The last pro, and I think this is one of the most important ones, is their environment. The environment that you should provide for them is beautiful in its own right.
Look at this, it's glowing.
If I say so myself, this is beautiful. It's gorgeous. It is a slice of the Amazon rainforest in your house, and that's really hard to argue with.
You can just put it, let's just say, well, it's in your living room, and then people, it's like a centerpiece to your living room, and it's like, wow, it's gorgeous.
Absolutely gorgeous, and it's really, you can't argue at how pretty the environment is, and it grows and matures, and you just, we can't say enough about it. We absolutely love our dart frog environment.
Yes.
So that is our list of pros and cons before somebody decides to get a poison dart frog as a pet.
Yes.
But we want to hear from you, right? So we want to put in the comments what you feel are some pros and cons of keeping poison dart frogs.
Yeah, and tell us if you have poison dart frogs too.
Oh, we would love to hear about your frogs, and even if you can put a picture or something in there, that's even better. So how does everybody find us?
You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Pinterest, and our website.
We have a new website, familytanks.com, and it's a beautiful hub of all these things. And we're going to start a blog on there too. So we're going to have some more detailed information and some care guides and things on there. So that is a wrap. So make sure to like and subscribe to this video.
Yes, subscribe.
Subscribing is the most important thing you can do to support us and get more information, right?
Yeah, we get more frogs and more stuff and make our videos even better.
It's going to be the jungle before you know it. So thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you next time, right?
Yeah.
All right, bye.
Bye.